Okay, we're going to do a cold start. It's about 40 degrees today here in Kansas. It's been about 7 days since I started the truck. Turn it on, let the fuel pump up pressure to the carburetor. Going to step on the gas one time, let off of it, and start the truck. Oil pressure's at about above 60 when it's cold. We're on the charge. So we'll take her for a spin here in a little bit. So I've decided to sell my Resto Mod 1946 Chevy truck that I spent 5 years building. It's got a 350 small block in it, all aluminum and polished. Everything on this is custom, firewall smoothed. Master cylinders underneath, so on and so forth. The rods that you see here and here, I built to hold this hood up, these hoods up, there's a pair of them, to keep them off of these rubber keepers that you see here. Those usually sit on top of the cowl panel, and I've seen a few windstorms come up during a show and take your hoods and send them a-flying. So I designed these rods that are 1/4 20, and they've got a rubber tip on them that sits up to keep from tearing up the paint underneath, because the hoods are painted just as nice on the underneath side as they are the outside. So these hoods sit on there, and those things screw in there. That's one of the mods that I've done. Another thing that I've done is taken the flat running panels that I built, and I molded steel into them and welded them, and then completed the body work to bring that up to the cab so that you don't have that gap underneath the door. One other thing that I've done to the bed is to fill this. I built these custom inlay panels that you see right here that meet to the cab, and then a bed filler to fill the gap that goes from underneath the bed. Would have normally been open from here to here and all the way across. And I built that with very little gap to the cab, about right at 1/8 of an inch a gap all the way across. I also built on the lathe these end caps and built these stake pocket covers. This bed has had 11 coats of clear put on it and then buffed, and those are stainless steel polished bed racks. The bumpers have both been tucked into the body and using the custom roll pan under here. The other thing I did with this custom roll pan is I actually attached it all the way across to the fenders, as you can see. And it's painted. This keeps the rear end from being able to be seen. Keeps the truck looking stock as possible, so that you can't tell that it's got another frame and such underneath it. This truck also has lock-in gas cap, and in the interior I built these fiberglass panels that go all the way across to hold the AC and heat. This truck has also had floor work done to it to make the cab not have the hump where the transmission is. This is a Tremec 5-speed, and I built the brake lever and shifter out of the stock truck to make it look like it. I also extended this lever here that you see. What this is your outside vent that just popped up out there. And that's still functional, and that's outside air in. The knobs that are on here are strictly for looks. This is a cigarette lighter and it is functional, but just basically for phone charging. I didn't do anything else. This truck has all leather interior in it, including leather headliner, custom painted head panel all the way to the back, and custom 100% custom interior. It's all leather. That's a bench seat to make look like buckets with a lot of bolster in them to help hold you in the seats. That is a custom carpet set with leather bound by the same material that's inside the truck. Built by Scott Downey's the carpet. Door panels are all leather. Those are the original door panels, just covered in leather and with a design on them, which carries into your kick panel, as you can see over on the other side. I stayed with the stock floor pedals, clutch and brake pedal, and the booster and hydraulic cylinder are underneath the cab. The button that you see on the floor is looks only. It's the original start button, but I wanted to put it back in here. Inside of the glove box is a fuel controller, and that controller will set your fuel gauge correctly to the correct fuel tank that's underneath the seat. It's a stainless steel original tank that's underneath there, but it's stainless steel, brand new. On this side, you'll see the fuse block is inside of there as well. But you still have plenty of room inside of the fuse block, or inside of the glove box. I wanted to make sure that those two items were accessible since you have to get to them. We'll go over to the driver's side, and I wanted to show you some switches that I put underneath here. So on this side is the other panel that I made, and this holds your AC, your fan. The center one is for your defrosters or your vents down below, and then the other one is temperature. So you'll see some switches hanging here. You'll see some switches hanging here, and those switches are for the one on your left is for setting the speedo. The one in the middle is speedometer on and off switch. You have to cycle the power in order to program it. And the one on the right is a fan override switch. So if you think your engine's getting hot and you want to turn the fan on before it needs to be turned on outside automatically, you can flip that switch and turn it on. This is the original dash. It has been modified for a V8 and 12 volt system, and that is a brand new speedometer. So the truck originally, when I built it, had 114 miles on it because I zeroed the speedometer when I built it, and I lost the speedometer about a month ago, so I had to order a brand new speedometer, and this one has 22 miles on it. So let's go to the back here and I'll show you some things. So I have these items right here. And what this is a bag that has those bars in it, which holds the hood up and stuff. You'll see those coming out here. That holds all those rods in there so you can keep them in there during the show and then use them. This truck I've also set up to get this out of here. This truck I've also set up to, my wife wanted the chains, original chains on this truck, but I didn't want them on there beating up the paint. So, if you'll notice, there is no bolt holes, there's nothing. And I built these with magnets on them and felt to keep them from tearing the paint job up. So what you do is you just put it up here and it will pull itself to the vehicle. Once you do that, you can take and latch it inside for show, and you now have the chains installed, and you can take them off after the show. Also, I built rods with magnets that will open the doors and keep them held. So here's one of them in my hand here that I built. It's got a magnet on the end of it just like that. It's got a 1/4 20. Just like underneath the hood, I installed these riv nuts right here in the body. What we'll do is we will plug this in here and we will screw it in. They're designed that once they're screwed in, they'll face forward, as you see, sitting like that. All you gotta do is shut the door, you'll hear it click. And the door is now held open. So, if the wind comes along, it can't move the door, it can't open your door, somebody can't hit it and close them, the thing won't fall off. So like if the door did open, you could pull the door open and the thing is still sitting there. But you could reshut it, and it's shut again. So there's a lot of custom work done to this truck. I hate to see it go, but I've got a lot of vehicles and different vehicles, and I'm getting a little older and want to start liquidating. This build is approximately 8 months old, finished, 100%, and it was in the Magnificent 7 here in Wichita, Kansas, and was accepted. It did not win the Magnificent 7, but it did win early truck and had a really nice setup on this thing. And it draws a lot of attention. Driving it and showing it, people love it. Tomorrow I'll take it underneath the body so you can see the underneath side. Let me show you those on this side. So the holes are right here and here for those rods to hold this hood side up. The engine's nice enough that you should really show this truck with the hoods open. It's very impressive.